What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be installing some retrofit headlights from Tech Customs. That's TEQ Customs. I actually currently already have a set of retrofits from them, but these are going to be a new updated model that they were kind enough to build for me. I spec'd them out exactly how I wanted them, and I'm really excited to get them in. So this video is going to be kind of a process of how to install some retrofit headlights on a first gen Tacoma.
Oh, it's my own damn fault that I'm falling for you. We haven't even talked, still I'm obsessed with you. Was it your milky eyes or your skin? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
So the process for me of taking all of this off is going to be completely different than you, unless you have a bumper like this or lights. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to probably pull this bumper off, because with the triple hoops it is kind of a pain to get this grill out, because you just don't have a ton of clearance or room right here. And so I want to be able to put my new headlights in without scratching them by trying to get the grill around them. So if you have a stock bumper, you don't have to take any of the bumper off or anything. You're basically just pulling the corner lights out and unconnecting the light connectors, and then undoing all of your clips for your grill and popping your grill off. So I was able to sneak my grill out with the old headlights still in, because all the bolts are going to be easier to take off from the top instead of trying to fiddle with them at the bottom. So I'm actually going to remove this headlight now to give myself a little bit more room to get this bumper off. The bolts to get these off, there's a 10 mil right there, and then there's two 10 mils right here on the side, and you'll remove those and then the headlight comes off. Okay, so once you have those three bolts removed, this piece, you can see it's kind of like an arm that you just pivot and then pull out, and then you can pull the threads out of this side to actually remove the headlight. So these are my new headlights that'll be going in. Their newest projector, which is supposed to be super bright, turbine shroud with a rear halo, and then these are RGB, so this strip will be a sequential turn signal, and then it'll all be RGB. And I believe these can be turn signals in the back as well, so that's how I'm going to wire them up. But super excited to get these in. I think they look killer. All right, Riley, well, we got the bumper off finally. Did a lot of work behind the camera. Since I had retrofits already, I already had like a wiring harness and everything ran for the switchback halos and all the ballast for those. So if you have stock headlights, all you're going to really do is unplug your headlights from this and from here, and then you're going to unbolt them like I showed you. I had a lot of extra steps since I had different headlights, so got everything pulled off, and so now we can start running the new harness for the new lights. All right, so this is one of the harnesses that you're going to have. It's going to come for my headlights. I have the RGB, so this is how to install the RGB ones. This is one of the harnesses that you're going to have. This box will sit on the driver's side here, and then what you'll do is this one will be connected to a power like the battery, and then you'll have a ground for the actual headlight, and then you'll have this, which is your H4 harness, which will plug directly into the factory H4 plug. And then this will plug, will be for the high beams on the actual projector themselves. So that's everything that'll need to be plugged in on the driver's side. These will be plugged in to other little things on the headlights. I don't know exactly what it's for. And then you'll run this one over to the passenger side and plug that in for your high beam, and you'll have to do a ground on the passenger side, and then another one of these for the headlight. So the only thing that gets plugged into the H4 harness is this one on the driver's side, and then you'll run that over and it'll pop out here, so you won't actually need this. So you can kind of just stosh that away, and then you'll do your ground, your high beam plug, and then the other little plug. So this is your RGB controller. So that's so you can do all the light functions and everything, and then this will be the app to control it. On this side you'll have 4 colors. One's power, one's ground, so the red's power, black's ground, and then the 2 are for turn signal functions. So, are you kidding me? What is that? Are you kidding me? So you'll wire one of these to each turn signal, and it won't really matter which one is which, because the headlights themselves you'll be able to plug in and unplug and move them around so that they are correct. All right, so I have the first harness ran. I have the box. It's kind of hard to see. I have the box kind of right here. Power running. Haven't connected it yet, so power comes up. It'll go to here. I have the ground attached to the body ground for all the other truck stuff. Then your plug for the high beams will stick out, and then I have it plugged into the factory harness. So that's kind of what you have to do on that side. Once the headlight comes over, you'll have this to plug in and the high beam one to plug in. And then I ran it over to this side and kind of have this side waiting. I need to ground this, and then this side will be all done. All right, so I have this side in. What I did was I plugged everything in, like the high beam harness and then the little tiny other connector. I didn't really know what it was. And then I ran the wires for like the strips and halos up through here and behind. So this will be one of the strip. And this will be like the halo, I think. So just having those set here for now, because the RGB controller will have to sit in over here, and it'll have some leads that run over to connect into those. When putting in the headlights, I have found it easiest to put these in first, like bring the headlight in over here, and then try to hook that little tab in. As you can see, the hole doesn't line up perfectly with the threads. So what I do is I put these bolts on first and tighten this side down so that hopefully you can suck this side over to get the threads to match up. But so far, they're looking killer. All right, so big update. I'm sorry I didn't film as much as I wanted to. It is kind of difficult to film on your own and to do everything. Basically, right here in the corner, I have the RGB controller tapped into power and ground, so that when you turn the headlight stock to the first click, right here, boop, it gives power to the halos and the strips and everything and turns them on. From there, you tap one of the yellow wires into turn signal power, and you run the other one and tap it into the other side. And it doesn't matter which wire you tap into where, because if you turn on your right blinker and your left blinker comes on, all you have to do is flip the connections from the strips and halos to the RGB controller, and they're plug and play. So that makes it a lot easier. So now we're ready to kind of throw the grill and everything back on, now that I have my wires tucked running over this other side. So they look really cool. I'm excited to get it finished up. So it is a little while later. I was working through editing all the footage, and I realized that I wanted to give you guys kind of the coolest feature of these headlights, which is the startup sequence, and I wanted to show you the blinker. So since I tapped these into my stock, whenever those come on, it does this startup sequence, and this is built into the RGB controller. So there you go. That was just the last preset that I had these lights on, and then I will show you now the sequential blinker. I did for a little while go without these, just because I had these. I kind of liked the idea of being able to turn the headlights and the strips and halos off during the day, especially for like really long road trips. I think it would just help with longevity of the halos and the strips, just not having them run on all the time. So mostly during the day I have them turned off, and then I can still have the blinkers here for people to see. They're super bright. I've actually been really impressed with how bright these are. The strips, I was a little worried that they were going to be kind of dim. The amber brightness on these is way brighter than the switchback amber was. I can confidently kind of run these more during the day than I could with the switchback halos. So that's been really cool. Even with the headlights on, I can show you that. Even with the headlights on, the amber is still super, super bright. And I'm not sure you can actually, yeah, the camera's at a good height where that cutoff line doesn't get you. But yeah, even with the headlights on, it just gives a good, bright amber. Super stoked. That etching in there looks amazing. You can kind of see it a lot better with the headlight on. So since these are RGB as well, you can actually control them off of your phone. So I'm gonna pull up the app right here so we can change them. There's like tons and tons of different options. I know it's really hard to see a phone screen through the camera because it makes it all rainbowy. But this is just like all these menus up here. You can swipe through all of those and they do all these different things. So there's another option. You can basically do whatever you can really dream about doing, which is really cool. I typically just keep it on amber because I think amber looks really cool. You can just do any solid color, a solid red, blue. The blues are really bright, so is the greens. Red and yellow seem to be a popular one. All right, so headlights are in, everything, as you can tell, they're kind of off. They're pretty flat. Sometimes when you get them in the truck, the beam will be kind of angled. This one you can kind of tell is pitched to the left. You might straighten that up. That one looks pretty good, but you want both the left beam there and this right beam to be the same height. And I'm going to show you how to adjust those right now. So I'm about 20 feet away from the door, and Tech Customs said that you can measure from the ground up to the middle of the projector, and that distance is about the same distance you want from the ground to the beam there, about when you're parked 20 feet away. I kind of have an idea of what they're supposed to look like because I've had retros before, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to adjust them. So to adjust the height of your beam, there's one of the ways you can do it is there's this threaded shaft right there that my socket's on, and on the end of that is going to be a 4mm socket, and so you just get your socket, and as you tighten that, you can see that your beam will slowly go up. It's pretty slow. Basically what this does is it's kicking the bottom of your headlight here. It's kicking this out so that it'll raise that beam up. So if you do feel that your beams aren't very level, what you would do is take this boot, that dust cover off, and then the projector is going to have like a threaded shaft on the back. You can loosen the nut or just try to grab the shaft and twist it the direction it needs to go. Mine are sitting pretty flat, so I don't feel that it's necessary to do that. And most of the time they will come pretty flat because they do a good job of getting them on the bench like that. So there you have it. Headlights are leveled and aligned. Like I mentioned earlier, you can measure from the ground up to the center of your projector, and whatever that measurement is, you want a similar measurement from the ground to where your beam sits. So I think that's about right for me. This is my second set of retros, so I kind of have an idea of how high the beam is, and they're super easy to adjust. If someone writes it, if you feel they're too high or too low, you can always make the adjustments, but that's them. So I know it probably wasn't the best install video, but at least gives you kind of an idea of what the process looks like to install these retrofit headlights. If this is something that is on your list to do to your truck, whether or not it's a Tacoma or anything else that has halogen headlights, I would highly recommend it because I mean the light output's insane. As you can tell from the cutoff line, you're basically increasing the width of your beam The cutoff is crazy sharp. The brightness, they just don't even, halogen headlights don't even compare to the brightness of retrofits. And they're pretty easy to install. You can do completely custom stuff like I did here with the sequential strip. The sequential strip's actually really bright at night with the amber and stuff, and they are full RGB, so I can go whatever really color I want. So I'll leave Tech Customs website in the description. You can also hit them up on Instagram, shoot them a message if you have any custom ideas like I did here. They're really good at doing custom work and can basically do anything that you your mind can think of. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I'm no like wizard at wiring. There's a lot of the things on the back of the headlights that you just plug in. They can only plug into one thing, so you don't necessarily know exactly what they do, other than they just need to be plugged in. But if you have questions, let me know. I'll try my best to answer them. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Oh, it's my own damn fault that I've fallen for.